Welcome. Today is Tuesday of the second week of Advent. The two candles are lit, and we're continuing our story, Tabitha's Travels by Arnold de Trede. Today's chapter is titled Bartholomew. Tabitha wondered if Bartholomew was still breathing. She had pulled him over into the shadows of a building and released her long hair from its covering. "Bartholomew, I am a girl," she had said. Since then, Bartholomew had stared at her without moving. Finally he blinked. "My name is really Tabitha," she said now. "My father, Eliakim, and I were searching for a boy when the Romans stopped us." Bartholomew continued to stare. You're a girl," he said. "Yes," Tabitha answered. "And it would be most embarrassing if I had to take a bath with everyone else." Bartholomew shook his head to clear it and then stopped and stared again. "You said you searched for a boy," he said. "Why?" "My father put the boy on a caravan," she answered, "and only later found out it was a caravan of thieves led by an evil man." "Decca of Megiddo," Bartholomew said, spitting out the name. "Yes. How did you know?" "The boy you searched for," Bartholomew said quickly, "was his name Jotham?" "Yes!" Tabitha almost screamed in her excitement. "How did you know?" "Because he was here not 2 days ago." "Jotham was here? But what of the fool?" "My friend Nathan rescued Jotham from Decca," Bartholomew said. "He sometimes dresses as a fool so people don't think him a threat. He and Jotham left yesterday for Jericho." Tabitha sat back and stared. "Jotham is safe," she whispered to herself. A moment later she turned to her new friend. "Then there was no need for my father to try finding Jotham. He could have stayed at home and never been bothered by the Romans." "Yes," Bartholomew said in a matter-of-fact way, "but you had no way to know that." Tabitha nodded, and they began talking about Jotham. "He is a most wondrous friend," Bartholomew said, and Tabitha agreed. "I think the three of us could all be good friends together," she said. Tabitha stuck her hair back under her head covering, and then Bartholomew continued showing her around the compound, keeping her clear of the rabbi. "Why is the rabbi so cruel?" she asked. Bartholomew shook his head. "I do not know. He seems to care a great deal about people, but he doesn't like us boys being here. I guess he thinks we're an interruption to the monks' work." "And what is their work?" Tabitha asked. "They make copies of the Torah." "And do you help?" "Not with the scrolls," Bartholomew answered, "but I do help make the urns they are stored in. I carry them from the pottery room to the storeroom." Tabitha thought Bartholomew must be very strong to carry such heavy urns. "And why are you at Qumran?" she asked. Bartholomew was quiet for a moment and then answered. "The Romans attacked my town and killed many people. I was taken to Caesarea and sold as a slave, while my family was taken on a ship to Rome." He was quiet for another moment and then said, "I think I shall never see them again." Tabitha knew exactly how he felt. She was beginning to feel like she would never see her father again, or any of her family. They were all so far away, toward the west. They both sat and thought for a long moment. Then Bartholomew said, "You cannot stay here. The rabbi will surely discover your secret and be angry." Tabitha nodded her head. "Yes, I know this, but I do not know what else to do. Where can I go?" Bartholomew had already figured that out. Nathan and Jotham left just yesterday, so if you hurry you can catch them at the house of Silas in Jericho. "The house of who?" "Of Silas," Bartholomew repeated. "He is a most wonderful man of great hospitality. Nathan and I stayed a night with him when we traveled through Jericho." "How will I find his house?" Tabitha asked. "And how do I find Jericho?" "Jericho is just a day's walk to the north," Bartholomew answered. "If you leave now, you will be there tomorrow. and only have to spend one night alone. Once you get to Jericho, look for the seller of perfumes." Bartholomew drew a map of Jericho in the sand, showing Tabitha just how to get to Silas's house. "At the house of Silas," Bartholomew concluded, "you will be safe. Nathan will know how to help you find your family and save your father." Tabitha nodded, but was still worried. Even a day's walk is a long distance for a girl or boy alone on a busy road, she said. Bartholomew nodded and then said, "But you will not be alone. Jehovah will be with you." The idea that the God of all things would take the time to walk with a girl had never found Tabitha's head before. "Do you think he would?" Tabitha asked. "Most assuredly," Bartholomew answered. "Many times since the Romans attacked my town, I have been in dangerous situations, and every time Jehovah has rescued me." He thought for a moment more and then added, "I think maybe it is what he does best." This made Tabitha feel much better. "If Jehovah is with me," she said with confidence, "I can do anything." Bartholomew led Tabitha over to a building where the monks ate their meals. Once inside, they went to the kitchen and talked to an old, gruff-looking man. "My friend Tabitha must travel to Jericho," he told the cook. "Could you prepare a meal for his travels?" The cook looked at Tabitha through suspicious eyes. "He must first go outside and bathe," the monk said, and Tabitha's eyes grew wide. But Bartholomew didn't hesitate for a moment and stepped right in as if he'd known this was going to happen. "Oh, he's not going to eat the meal now," Bartholomew said. "He will save it for evening, and then before he eats, he will bathe in the river Jordan." The cook eyed Tabitha again, and Tabitha nodded her head quickly to confirm Bartholomew's story. "Very well," he said finally, and put some bread and dried meat in a goatskin bag. Bartholomew grabbed a skin of water as well, and a blanket from his dormitory, and then led Tabitha out the front gate, where men and boys were busy rebuilding the walls of the compound. "So, go straight north from here along the road," he told his new friend, "and when you get to the house of Silas, greet my friends Nathan and Jotham for me." Tabitha gave Bartholomew a quick hug. "You are a good friend," she said. "When I find my father and Jotham, I will tell them of your kindness." Then she turned her back on Qumran and began walking up the road, wondering what dangers lay around the next bend. How terrifying it must be for Tabitha, all alone, walking in a strange and dangerous road to a distant and unknown city. She has every right to be afraid. But Bartholomew is a wise friend. He knows that we are never really alone if God is our friend. Even in the dark of the night, even when there's no one else around, even when we don't know what to do, Jesus is right there with us, walking beside us, holding our hands. Deuteronomy says, "Do not be afraid or terrified, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." That's a promise God made long ago, and a promise he has always kept.